Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're tackling the crisis in Venezuela. It's a really complex story. You've got political division, economic collapse, in a country that's basically caught right in the middle of a global power struggle.
So, to really get a grip on what's going on, we have to start with a question that sounds, well, almost impossible, right? How can one country possibly have two presidents at the exact same time?
And look, this wasn't some kind of abstract political debate. For people in Venezuela, this was their reality. After a super controversial presidential election back in 2018, the whole country just fractured. It kicked off this huge, unprecedented battle over who is actually in charge.
So, you've got two main players. On one side, there's Nicolas Maduro. He claimed victory in that 2018 election, and critically, he kept control of the military and all the state institutions. But then on the other side, you have Juan Guaido. He was the head of the National Assembly, which was led by the opposition. He said no way that election was a fraud, and, citing the Constitution, he declared himself the interim president. Almost immediately, a ton of countries, including the UK, recognized him. And just like that, you've got this massive standoff, both inside Venezuela and on the world stage.
And this internal fight didn't stay internal for long. It spilled out onto the world stage and created a really practical and kind of crazy problem. Who gets to control all of Venezuela's gold that's sitting in the Bank of England? I mean, who do you give it to? The question actually ended up in English courts, turning this political mess into a high-stakes legal fight over billions of dollars of national wealth.
Okay, but here's the thing. This whole two presidents situation, as wild as it is really just a symptom. It's the visible part of a much deeper problem. The state itself is, well, it's crumbling. This crisis of governance didn't just pop up in 2018. Oh no, this has been building for decades.
You can actually trace this back. It's been a slow but very deliberate chipping away at all the democratic checks and balances. It kind of started with a new constitution back in '99. Then you see this steady creep of authoritarianism. And the real tipping point? 2014. A massive oil price shock just hammered the economy. And the government's response wasn't to, open things up. It was the opposite. They clamped down hard. And that led to a huge spike in state violence and coercion.
And all this has led to something that researchers call necropolitics. It's a really chilling idea. Basically, it means the state is using its power not to protect people, but to decide who lives and who dies. Often this happens through the actions of its own security forces. I mean, it is the absolute ultimate failure of a government's most basic job, to keep its people safe.
And when you look at the real-world impact of this, it's just devastating. You're talking about actual state criminality, like special police forces carrying out extrajudicial killings. You've got political repression, where they use this thing called political disqualification to just ban their opponents from even running for office. Then there's the attack on universities, on the media. And the end result of all of this? A total collapse of trust between citizens and the government.
So you have to ask, right? How does the system like this even keep going? What's funding it? Well, it all comes down to one thing: oil. Venezuela is what you'd call a classic petrostate. Its entire fate, for better or worse, is tied to the price of a barrel of oil.
And this creates a really dangerous cycle. Think about it. When the global price of oil crashed back in 2014, Venezuela's main source of income just vanished. For regular people, that meant crazy hyperinflation and suddenly no food or medicine on the shelves. So to handle that chaos, what did the government do? It grabbed more power, became even more authoritarian, just tightening its grip so it wouldn't lose control.
And that's why the state oil company, PDVSA, is so much more than just a business. It's a geopolitical pawn. The United States slaps heavy sanctions on it, trying to force political change. At the same time, you've got Russia offering political cover and China providing this absolutely crucial economic lifeline with loans and investments, all while officially saying they're not intervening.
So you take all this internal pressure, you add in the high-stakes game of oil politics, and what happens? It starts to spill over the borders. It's reigniting a conflict that's over 100 years old and is now seriously threatening the stability of the whole region. The flashpoint here is a region called the Essequibo. It's this huge, dense jungle area that actually makes up about 2/3 of the country next door, Guyana. Now, Venezuela has been claiming this land for more than a century, but the fight has suddenly gotten way more intense. Why? One reason: massive, massive offshore oil discovery.
So all of a sudden, this old dusty argument over a map isn't about a map anymore. It's about who gets to control one of the biggest new oil finds on the planet. And you can bet the United States is interested. Other global powers like China and Russia are watching very closely too.
So what used to be a local squabble is now threatening the unity of South America and turning into a major international flashpoint.
And that lets us zoom all the way out to the big picture. This is how Venezuela, a country already in deep crisis, has become a key piece on the global chessboard. It's become a stage for a new kind of great power competition.
You know, in a way, this isn't totally new. Back during the Cold War, Venezuela was a hotspot, a strategic prize for both the US and the Soviet Union. Well, that old rivalry is back. But this time, the players are a little different, and you could argue the stakes are even higher.
And you can see the two competing game clans so clearly. On one side, you have the United States and its allies. Their strategy is isolation. Use sanctions, use diplomatic pressure, try to box in the Maduro government. And on the other side, China and Russia. They're doing the exact opposite. They're providing that crucial lifeline with alliances, money, and investments, basically canceling out all that pressure from the West.
And this really gets to the core of it. For Venezuela's leaders, these alliances aren't just about surviving day to day. As one source we looked at puts it, it's a much bigger strategy. It's about navigating this crisis by teaming up with powers like China and Russia who want to challenge the way the world works right now and maybe help build a whole new global order.
So we've gone from a fight between two presidents to the crumbling of an entire state, all the way to a flashpoint in a global power struggle. The Venezuelan crisis is this incredibly complex chain reaction. It's a powerful reminder of just how connected everything is. And it leaves us with a really tough, unanswered question. When a country and its people become pieces on a global chessboard, who actually gets to make the next move?